Second, you have to be open. You have to trust someone. You don't have to trust everyone, but you have to trust someone to be in the room with you. It isn't easy. And the first conversation is the hardest conversation. I remember just my coach just opening up and telling her everything what is going on with me. No one wants to utter those words. Nobody wants to be vulnerable, but you have to trust someone. It's going to be okay. You're not the only one. You're not alone. Someone out there is going through the exact same thing that you are going through. And it just takes one conversation to bring it all together. And that's what I had to realize I am for a lot of persons that think.
Yeah. And that voice.
For some, I say a lot what they are afraid to let out of their mouth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? I had a lady.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Pregnant with Destiny but Stuck podcast. And today I'm very, very excited. Exciting.
Yeah.
I actually heard us spoke at an event and I was so taken by a story. I said, we have to get on podcast. And so I'm so excited to have this lovely young believer and who has a powerful story that I know can help a lot of us. And so I'm going to let her introduce herself and then we can have a little chat.
Hi, my name is Audenique Martin. I am 29, going to be 30.
Wow.
Yeah. In August, I'm a mother of 2. I'm married and I am a PCOS survivor. It's my testimony.
Wow. Wow. It's amazing how when we're younger, we're just willing to give our age.
After that, we can get it no more.
When we get in our 40s and 50s, you don't hear much about aging.
You ain't got to agree with me no more after this stuff. It's all right.
It's amazing. So Miss, you're loaded.
Yes.
Loaded. So tell us about your family life.
Right now, I am ripping and rolling. I have a newborn. He's 5 months old. His name is Martin. And I have an 8-year-old. His name is Mateo Martin. He's about to be 9 in April 16th. And like I said, I'm married to Luther Martin. And right now, it's just all about that. That is my life. That is it. I'm going to realize that I no longer own myself. I am theirs. So that is my life currently. And for the past year, I have been sharing my testimony, helping women better their life and understanding their body more. Through me, I realized that a lot more women are opening up about their life. So I'm learning to open up more about mine.
Excellent. You're also a business owner.
Yes.
Tell us about that. You're a young business owner in the community. That's exciting.
Yes. And so I've been a makeup artist for the better part of 10 years. And I started doing nails. So now I'm a nail artist. And I started during the pandemic. And so from then to now, that part of my life has been growing and expanding. But most persons know me more for my makeup.
So you've expanded from makeup to nails. Or was it the other way around?
I incorporate it. Right. So some days I have an influx of makeup appointments where I'm like, I can't take a nail appointment because I just literally do not have the time. And then some days it's the other way around where I have more nail clients than I do makeup. And so I have some clients, they only know me for my nails and they believe I'm theirs. I'm like, tell their makeup people they can go. I'm like, no. It OGs, you come along. All right. And so it was a juggling act, having one income for a while. It was like, okay, I can do this. And then bringing on the nails, it was another thing. I was like, oh, because, nails take a little bit longer than my 1 hour application. And then I added a newborn and it's like.
Is this what you always wanted to do?
Safe space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I did not always wanted to do makeup. I did not always wanted to be in the beauty field.
Okay.
But it was always a passion, hobby, per se, and it became my life. And through that, I realized it was where I was supposed to be because I meet so many women in the field, and women tend to open up for some reason in the beauty field. No matter they go to do their hair, their nails, their makeup, they can talk, tell you whatever's going on, and so. Majority of my clients, I help them on a personal level. And so they trust me and they open up. And that's why I say through me opening up, more persons that come to me, they feel more comfortable and they just share. And I realize it's more of a release than them just sitting down doing their nails.
Do you see it as ministry? That you actually get to minister to these women?
I'm realizing that now. I did not understand it then. I did not understand it then. That was a truth moment right there. I did not understand it. And my pastor, I had to sit back and understand that I'm serving more than receiving money. And so a lot of times, I'm like, hey, I have another appointment. You got to come up, my chair. And then I find myself, hey, can you come like in the next 30 minutes? I'm running a bit late. But I ain't running late. You have me late. But it's okay. It's all right. It's okay.
Yeah, you sort of doing marketplace ministry. You're doing ministry in the marketplace.
A lot of women appreciate that.
I think so.
The way that I have my business set up is more on a one-on-one. I don't have more than one person in my atmosphere at one time. And so they feel more homey. They feel safer and they open up more and they know that whatever they say, another air isn't going to hear. And so that's kind of how it is in prayer life. That's kind of how it is when you're talking to God. That's kind of how it is when you're just confide in you. It's only you. It's only him and it's not going anywhere. And so with that, I realized that I'm doing way more than I bargained for getting into this. I thought it was just, I can put some makeup on your face and make you look cute. And that's it. And it's way more than that.
You know, I saw that when I went to my nail tech. Palm was a very lovely person because I was really, if you know me, I really didn't know nails. But she get me into nails. Thanks, Palm. But I found that when I would go to her and I sit in a chair, and when she started to share and she started to encourage me, and I was like, wow, this is like you're actually someone ministering to you, counseling you. And when I would leave her presence, I felt so refreshed. And I told her that. I said, you actually doing ministry. The women coming in your chair and you sharing your testimony, you encouraging them, because you don't know what state they come in when they come and sit in your chair. You know what they've dealt with. You don't know what challenges they had. But you sharing your testimony, you sharing your wisdom, you actually ministering to them. You're serving them. And God is using you in your work to minister. And I was like, wow. Yeah. And that's what you're doing as well.
Hey, coming out of my shell, I was not, this is not part of the plan, I can tell you. And even during the latter part of last year, I was talking to my husband and I was telling him, feel as if this is going real well. I feel like I have run my course. I'm ready to do something different. My husband's like, what do you mean? Like, what you talking about? Because if you mind me, I have a million ideas. I have a million things I want to do. I was like, Audie, no. Like, persons know you for this. Then it's going to shake like this. Hold on. I kid you not. I took a break when I had my son and I'm just now getting back on the track and I got an influx of new customers. I was steady just with the same clientele for a while. And I was like, God, okay, my time has, it's ended. Okay, let's show me where else I'm going to go. And I've never done this. I've never spoken in front of a crowd. I'm just me opening up, persons realizing like who I am, what I offer, and what I can give. I mean, the doors are just opening. And I was just sitting down and I was like, you think that's what I'm supposed to be doing?
Is that your calling?
I was stuck for a while. I was really like, this is it. You know, I don't want to do this anymore. I feel like I could do makeup with my eyes closed. I'm not meeting any new people. It's the same cycle over and over. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And my husband's like, no, this is what you're good at. This is what you are supposed to be doing. And you just need to figure some things out. Make it new again. And honestly, right now, that's what's happening. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. So what would you say are your gifts, your talents?
I come to realize I make people feel safe. Wow. They open up with me.
Wow.
And I like to serve. And so I like to sit down. I like to listen. I like to be a friend. And that's what I realize a lot of women don't have.
Yeah.
There's a lot of judgment with a lot of things women go through. And
they struggle with that.
Yeah. A lot of women don't have a friend or simply just someone to talk
and confide in like that.
And realize that nothing is going anywhere after that. Yeah. That's what I realize my gift is. I want to say I'm a sponge. I take a lot in and
you think you're empathetic or you feel people's pain?
In a sense. And I had to tune that in because I used to wear a lot of people's I don't want to call it stress, but I used to wear a lot of people's pain and right. I used to wear it. And so I was one in my personal life. If I tell you I love you, I love you. If I tell you you're my friend, you're my friend. If I tell you I'm going to be there for you, I'm going to figure out. I mean, if you call me and say, hey, I need $100, that could be me. My husband laughs. And my husband could tell you, we can just be, we can't eat noodles and hot water all week. No, they needed $100. So we got to eat noodles and hot water all week. You know, I had to.
Reel it in.
Right. And so I figure out the best solution without wearing me out.
Excellent.
That's what I had to learn to do because I would go to the end of the earth for someone that I care for. I would try to figure out how me, not the solution. I would make myself the solution and I had to understand I can't always be everyone's solution.
Yeah.
And so, right. And so I had to figure out ways, but still be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sound like you have a mercy spiritual gift. And you empathy in terms of talent. Sound I could hear empathy and later you relate well to people. So
I didn't always know
that. I hear those gifts flowing. You know, Gallup. You know the company that does the election in the U.S. You usually hear about them around election time in the U.S. They have this thing called Talent Strength Finder. They have this assessment that teach you your natural talents, and it's like your top 5. I could hear in you that relate is one of the talent themes. I could hear empathy, and connectedness, connect things. And then in terms of spiritual gifts, I hear the mercy from you. And I think you have 2 exhortation where you encourage people and you exhort them to move forward and encourage them.
I like that.
You're loaded.
I like that.
Yeah, you're loaded. So so tell us about your journey. I know in your introduction you said you talk about PCOS, and to our audience it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. Right. And so tell us about your journey with that.
Boy, it's been a rough one. It started off just from a teenager. I missed periods, and most doctors would say that's normal. You go through your hormones, you're just starting your cycle, and so your body is kind of like balancing out, and that's what I understood it to be for many years. And it wasn't until my later teens, like that 18, 19 era, I realized something was wrong. I'm already past that pre-stage. I should be in the flow of things by now. So, it came with the stomach pains, it came with the waking, it came with the acne, it came with the fatigue, and I was like, okay, let me just...
a whole bundle of symptoms.
Right. I was like, let me just go and check and just seen. And on the first scan I got, they told me, okay, hey, you have polycystic ovaries and this is what happens. And one of the most telltale signs is you actually see when they do the ultrasound cysts on your ovaries. And so it looks like little dark spots. And I had about 12. Maybe more.
I know the experience. I have similar, yeah.
And so it's like, okay, what do you do to get it off? Like, it's surgery, like what? And obviously you don't want to do surgery. So what's the alternative? What is that? And the next best thing they always prescribe is birth control. I took it. I wasn't trying to have no child at 18. So, okay, fine.
Let's try it.
Yeah. I've been on all. I believe I've been on all. And so it never worked out for me. Never. Wow. What did it make me feel sick? Made me gain even more weight, more acne, more fatigue, or just outright cannot function on it. And so that went on for a while. Met my husband when I was 21. I was dealing with that from 18. I found out when I was 18 and I'm at 21. And so I didn't find the solution until I was 28. So from then to 28, it was just
10 years.
Product after product, solution after solution, and trying to figure out like, what am I going to do? And through those 10 years, it was rough.
Wow.
It was daunting. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get past it. And no matter what I did, I just came back to the same old thing, not seeing my period, or if I do see it, it's on for months at a time. And just that within itself is exhausting, and nobody wants to deal. No woman wants to deal with that forever.
Yes.
And so that, it was just hard. It was hard.
Wow. So how did you get past that?
I thought
like 10 years of being stuck in that. How did you get past that? I healed from that.
I started taking control of my life myself. I realized that the medicine wasn't working for me, and I needed to go more on the herbal route. And speaking for myself, some birth control works for some people and their life is fine. And the PCOS goes away, just maintaining it with the birth control. I've seen it, I've heard it, but for me, it was not working. And so I was like, what am I going to lose? I already going through it now anyhow. So give me the tea. Let's just see. And that's really, I just took a chance. I took a chance on life. I took a chance on something else out of the box, out of the norm. Well, in this day and age, because my daddy told me to go drink tea a long time. My daddy is a real born Bohemian, believe in bush medicine, and he will chug it down. And so when he heard that I was trying it out, he was like, okay, let's just see how it goes. But with herbal medicine, it takes longer than the pharmaceutical
drug.
It takes longer. So patience isn't really my thing. I've been 10 years in. I don't want to wait. But God was doing a thing. He was like, you have to have patience to get you where I need you to be. To be able to, to be able to listen to the stories, to be able to speak, to be able to move, to be able to help other persons get where they need to go. You need to have it. And I was like, at the time, I didn't understand it. But I went through it to get where I'm at right now. And so I went through 3 different herbal companies, and I ultimately ended up with far better products. And that company, along with the CEOs, Melanie Starrington and her husband, they brought me very far. When I first started, my body was nowhere near what it is now. I went from not seeing my period for months at a time to being regulated, healed my gut, where I was able to start digesting food properly and losing weight naturally the way I was supposed to. I went to healing my skin, where I had no acne anymore, no craving any sweets or anything like that. And I did go the extreme. I went completely plant-based for like a year and a half.
Why did you do that?
To heal.
Oh, okay. And this is in your diet?
To heal, along with balancing my hormones. I restarted my whole body. I And like I say, everybody don't have to do it, but it was necessary for me and all of the issues that I was dealing with at that time. I just was ready to just clean slate. Let's just start over. I did a detox, all pharmaceutical meds, all birth controls, all of that. I completely reset my body. Like I said, I healed my gut and I balanced my hormones. And that's how I was naturally able to conceive, because my PCOS also came with infertility. My husband and I were trying for the better part of 10 years, basically, and wasn't able to conceive. And that's how I was able to do naturally. Wow. No, nothing.
Wow. So how did you deal with it, the infertility emotionally? The time that you couldn't conceive. How was that journey?
Like I said, when I was younger, it didn't matter. You know, because I wasn't looking for it then. When I first got married, I met my husband with a son. And I raised him from 5 months to now. And so it didn't really matter, you know, but you have those family members and you have the people in the community that are like, oh, you're married now, you know, you got to give him a son, you got to give him a baby. And I'm like, I'm trying. I'm trying, I promise you. But you know, it's silent cries because you don't want to be out in the public screaming at the top of your lungs, I have PCOS, you know, and I can't conceive, you know, it's embarrassing. As a woman, nobody wants to be that woman. Hey, I'm struggling. And even explaining that to my husband when he first met me, it was, hey, as your wife, as a woman, I might not be able to expand the family. I might not be able to meet the demands. What you require, I cannot produce. And so he didn't understand it at first, but with grace, he came around and he understood. And I remember it was one time, at 10 o'clock at night, we were sitting in the car. We were just having a heart to heart. And I remember I looked at him and I told him, I was like, you know, I'm going to give you a free out. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, if you want to divorce me and find somebody else that could give you what you want, go right on ahead. And I think that was like the lowest point for me. That was when he looked at me and he was like, you want to try something else. Like, well, the medicine isn't working for you. We're gonna have to figure this out because this is not it. I was like, that was my lowest. I sat back and after I said it, I was like, Audie, just tell this man to divorce you. I can't be playing. I said, no. And that next morning, no, it wasn't serious, right? Like, you ain't no that easy. You know, and so, but in all seriousness, that's when I went to God and I was like, hey, you got to do something for me. You got to work this out. And that's when I found Far Better. And that's when she told me, she was like, Audie, this is a bit drastic, but if you want it, you're going to do it. And that's all she told me. I did it. It was effortless. When she told me, you're going to have to cut out the dairy, you're going to have to cut out the sweets, you're going to have to cut out the meat, you're going to have to cut out the rice, you're going to have to cut out everything.
All the behavior stuff, good stuff.
Okay. It was effortless. And that's how I knew I was at my breaking point. That's how I knew this is what I was
ready to,
this is what I needed to do because I was desperate. I was desperate to fix me. I was desperate to understand what is going on. Why am I going through it? Just know that I don't want to be here anymore. So what you need me to do to get to the next step, because I don't want to be here. I don't like hair. Hair is not fun. And so the first couple of months, because I was going through it, don't mean my family had to go through it. And so me being the wife, still had to cook the same meals my husband used to eat. I still had to make the fun meals for my son. So
and smell all of that and see all of that.
And I looking at my plate and all I got is grass and water. I was like, what? And so it took discipline. I was disciplined. And I say was because you don't have to do it forever. You do it, understand what your body needs. And when you feel as if, okay, you have a good balance in your life, you could incorporate it back again. It doesn't have to be forever. And I just had to understand, and that's what my coach told me. You just have to understand this is your season that you're in right now. And for right now, I needed a complete reset to get to where I wanted to be. And I didn't like it. I didn't understand it. It was hard. I am not going to tell you no lie. Because coming from every Sunday, you have your two meat, your rice, your two sides, two vegetable. And a cold, tall glass of water.
So no soda, no juice.
Soda. Ooh.
Arizona.
What I used to do is coconut water. I would have my plant-based milk and my agave. And on Sundays, that would be my treat. I would make myself a gully wash, as plant-based as I could, or I would make lemonade, or I would use the club soda and with lime, and that would be my Sprite. I had to get creative. I had to figure it out. But nonetheless, I made it through because it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
You eat with your eyes. And so once you start to be more creative and you do things that you like, but in a healthier way, you realize you don't really need as much as you take it. And so it got easier once I took out the thought of I'm just eating grass. I'm just drinking water.
So you had to change your perspective.
Right. And that's what helps me a lot to be able to help other persons because we grow up with that's vegetables. So that's broccoli. But you don't understand that you could take that same broccoli and turn that into broccoli and cheddar soup. You could take mushrooms and turn it into a version of boneless chicken. Season it up the same way. I never skipped on my seasonings. She never tell me I can't have salt. So I season it up the same way. I batter it up the same way. I fried it the same way. I just incorporated it into my life the way I like it, the way I could serve it to my kids, and they could have a different understanding of vegetables and being healthy. It doesn't always have to be boring. And I made it exciting, and that's what got me through.
So you essentially went the eating healthy route. Did you see a doctor in doing that, making that transition?
Yes. It was a point of time where transitioning from the pharmaceuticals to herbal, my body shifted, and so I was on my period for a while.
Okay.
And so they were like, okay, let's just do a scan. And that was the first time I did a scan and I had no cyst on my ovaries. And they were like, I thought you told me you had PCOS. And I was like,
wow.
Well, if you won't see it, then I ain't got it. Well, and that's the first time I started speaking it where I was healed. And I was like, if you won't see it, I ain't got it. Then get me out of here. Like, I don't want to be in here. Like, I don't want to be doing this. And so they're like, all right, maybe it's just your body shifting, give it some time. And we did that. And then when I went back, I always kept up with my scans because I don't want to make sure the system come back. And they never did. And that was in the year of 25 now. So that's in the year of 23. And from then to now, and I've been regulated from then to now. Yeah.
So you essentially did a detox, full detox, and then you changed and went to full vegetarian.
Yeah. It sounds crazy saying it, but doing it was a lot easier than saying it because I didn't understand it. Christmas, you can't have your turkey, you can't have your macaroni, you can't have your stuffing, you can't
That's and but our payment diet, that's a little challenging. And when you tell people that, what's usually their reaction?
Something wrong with me. How did I make it? What did I eat? What did I serve my husband? There's no way I did that for real. And I always told him like, yeah, I did it. I lived it. It was my life for about a year and a half. And it's possible and it's necessary. Even my sinus at that time and now I'm just managing it. So I do have my days because, have an 8-year-old and he wants, let's have pizza night. Let's have this, let's have that. And so I'm like, Mommy can't have all this dairy, but anyhow, you suffer for them. And, I have my time where I'm like 60-40 right now. So
you transitioned back to meat.
Right.
Okay.
And if I have a breakfast sandwich, let's say I have a breakfast sandwich and I put turkey on it. I still didn't go, I never was a pork chop ribs kind of girl.
Red meat.
Never.
Okay.
So it's always just been chicken, turkey, fish. And so if I have a breakfast sandwich and I decide to put turkey meat on it, like I would have a salad for lunch. Like I won't.
Okay.
And it'll go on from there.
So you went on this diet for 1 year and then you got you to conceive. How did you feel when that happened?
It didn't happen right away.
Uh-huh.
During my first year, I did for like about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And so during my first year, after trying for so long, I conceived, but then I lost it. And that was the first victory in my, well, I won't say first victory because I was cyst-free.
Mm-hmm.
That's one.
Mm-hmm.
I was regulating. That's two.
Mm-hmm.
My body was healing. That's three.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fourth victory within all of this was seeing those pink lines and realize that I am knocking on the door.
Mm-hmm.
I am here. You know, I am. And I was so excited. Oh, I was so excited.
Mm-hmm.
I called my husband and said, hey, I don't know. Something's going to be happening. Let's go. I went and they were like, Miss Martin, you only 4 weeks. I was like, I don't care. Get the scan. Let's see. And they were like, you can't see anything. And I was like, I don't care. Don't see. So that's when I found out that it was a blighted ovum, which means that the egg, it implanted, but it didn't fertilize.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't know. I never knew what it was. I didn't understand it. And so when the miscarriage happened, I was like, God, why would you do that? I was like, I felt like I took 20 steps back, not 10, 20. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I called my coach and I was like, you told me I was going to conceive. And I was, she's like, yeah, you did. I didn't lie. She said, but it's a process. Even the doctor, she explained to me, she was like, your body is working.
Yeah.
And so sometimes stuff like that happens. That doesn't mean that when you conceive again, that something like that would happen. But the fear gripped me. I was like,
wow,
I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to chance it. I don't want to, but that is how your blessings get robbed and stolen from you.
When you give up.
Right. It's like, I don't want to try no more. Let's just, I even know that's a dog. You know, I just no.
Because it was the pain. The experience was very painful.
Yes. I was stuck. Couldn't come to bed, couldn't do nothing. And my husband looked at me and he's like, Audie, that's my name of my husband, boy. And he'd say, hey,
yeah,
let's go.
Yeah.
All right. And that's something I am grateful for with him. He keeps it turning and he's like, Audie, let's go. Like, you got this. And so I did another cleanse. I went back on the Herbal medication.
You started all again.
I started all over again.
Wow.
And that happened in August of 23. I conceived again in February of 24.
So restarting.
Right. And I gave birth in October of 24.
Wow. How did you feel when you gave birth?
Oh, it felt natural. It felt like it was supposed to happen.
Wow. Wow.
I had a beautiful pregnancy. I did not swell up. My nose didn't get big. I didn't gain. I think I gained maybe 10 pounds. I labored home. Didn't even know I was in labor. I got to the hospital like 5-7 minutes. Pushing was me and the nurse was in there cracking jokes. My eyes feel so bad telling my story sometimes because women just look at me like, you know, part of the feeling be God's favorite. Beautiful. You know, I didn't know it was going to be like that. So I guess it felt like it was supposed to happen. Even looking down at him, I'm like, you're supposed to be here. Nervous through labor. I was in like I didn't think anything was going to happen to me. I went in there, I got out and wheels started turning. After I gave birth to him was when I got back on the saddle with my work. I tell you, the doors just started opening. I did a podcast.
Yeah.
I never spoke.
First time, guys, on this.
I never spoke in front of a crowd to tell my story on how I got here. And so everything just one after the next. And like I say, it was hard starting and getting there and going through it, but it was necessary.
Wow. Wow. What a journey.
Yeah.
What a journey. Wow. Through a PCOS, the infertility, the drastic change in diet.
Yes.
The miscarriage, and having to start again.
Yeah.
And then finally the conceiving. Wow. How did your relationship with God transition through all of that? Were you angry with him? Disappointed? How did you feel?
Starting, I questioned, it's like, God, why do I have to deal with PCOS? Why do I have to, go through all of this? Like, what is the point? Why? Like, I'm a woman. Every month, just let her come, let her go, and let's keep on ticking. This is what I'm waiting for. When I found the solution, I had to build up my patience, build up my faith, and believe that this is going to work. That was hard within itself, because you kind of, you're running on empty. I had nothing to work off. I never been healed before. I don't know what's about to come. It was blind faith. At that point, I just was at my bed's end and I was like, God, you got to do it for me. This is it. I'm not doing it. I'm tired. I am not doing it. Nothing else. No way. And I guess gonna dock. Like that was it. Like I'm not doing this no more. And so when it started to work, my faith built and I was like, come on, God. Yeah. Come do your big one for me. And then when the miscarriage happened, I was like, now why you do that? I talked to God like he's my friend. I said, why would you do that to me? We were on track. We were going somewhere. We was ripping and rolling. I was doing it. I did sacrifice, not eating, not, doing all the things that I was doing back then. Like I made a full 360. Like, what more do you want from me? And I even messaged my pastor and I was like, I need you to pray for me because I cannot pray for myself. I cannot utter the words. I'm not angry with God, but I don't understand what God is doing right now. And I don't want to offend him. I don't want him to feel like I don't trust him. Where I'm at right now, I feel like I could say the wrong thing and I don't want my life to reflect that because I don't mean it. I'm just hurt right now and I don't know how to get past the hurt. And I just had to take time and I had to reflect and I had to understand that my life is headed into a direction that it never went before. So when you are navigating, you have to move a bit slower. Yep. You have to understand that you can bump up because you've never been on that track before. You don't know what you're doing. And that was my hurdle. That was my buck up. That was my and it shook me. I mean, it shook me. I was out for the count. I did not know which way to turn, but I still had to show up. I still was a wife. I still was a mother. I still had clients that knew I was on the journey. I was expecting me to finish it because they're interested. They want to see. And if I fail, then they will never see the glory. They will never see the end. And so I went back one more time. I was like, God, even my boss, I was like, because he's like, God, let's take a step back. And so I strengthened it a bit more. I remember within that same year, I ended up getting baptized again. I started being more active in church. I started serving. And I was like, you know what? I don't have anything else going on. Let's do what I've been doing. And that because I feel and I know that it's working. And so, like I say, I did the cleanse again. I got a trainer. I went to the gym. I just was fully invested in me and where I was trying to get and what I needed for God to do in my life. And that was change it completely. And like I said, I was obedient. God did exactly what he set up.
He showed up.
And he did a big one.
Strong.
He did a big one. And that was the biggest ask that I had of God for a very long time was for me to conceive and not just give me a child, but understand my body so I could be able to help others. And that is, boy, be careful what you pray for, because that is exactly that is exactly what I'm doing. Wow. I've never said that out loud.
Wow. I like your transparency, but particularly with your relationship with God. Some people act like, I just sanctify and holy and, I just, whatever happens. They don't say, that, I was angry. Like, I talk with God and let him know how angry I was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, in the Bible, Naomi, it says Naomi that when she came back to, hometown, she was bitter. She was bitter. She was angry with God. Because she lost her husband and she lost her children. So her loss caused her, it was very transparent about how she felt. For us as women, that's healing. That's healing. Just to say that. And I like how you talk about how your relationship is with God. You can talk to him.
I came up
sure and real.
Wow. Growing up, most presidents, you gotta pray. You gotta pray this way. You gotta pray that way. I'm like, I don't always have an hour-long prayer. I don't have no words.
No words.
I remember during the process one time, I was so tired. I was so exhausted. I can tell you, it was a lot of times I called my coach and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I am tired. And she would encourage me. Yeah. She's a real Zen person. She would encourage me. She'd be like, Audie, go find a quiet space. Go scream. Call me back. You're having a moment. Yeah. Okay. And I remember this one time I went by the canal up because my father, he lives in Smith Point. And I was about to go to him. And I said, before I go to him, I need to zoom in. And I went and I just sat in the car. I didn't say a word. I said, God. I cried for like about 10, 15 minutes. I had all the scream. Okay, I could now. I had this. When I got up with my dad, I was like, you just come from me. Just want to tell my daddy everything. I was crying. I needed a minute. I was like, you okay? And I was like, yeah, it's just that I am tired. I don't know what I am doing, but I'm doing it. I was like, yeah. Like everybody in my life at that point in time, they didn't baby up the situation. They didn't baby me up. They were like, this, what you say you want to do. This, what you say you feel as if it's going to get you where you want to get. Let's go.
Yeah. Wow. So you had that support system.
In a sense. Like my husband, he didn't like when I cook, vegetarian breakfast. I'm like, we're not eating this right now because I'm not cooking 2 meals. But he know for lunch, you're going to get your meat, but bear with me right now. And so he supported me. He ate it. Everybody was a test. Everybody was a test on me for me. I'm like, hey, I'm trying out this new recipe. I'm trying to see how this goes. Come eat this with me. I'm like, I call my daddy, hey, I made you a pot of soup. My daddy, like I say, real Bohemian. You want pigtail, you want salt. We're like, what in there? Vegetables. Or they don't bring that with me. I come in and you're going to eat it. And so I could not be in it alone. Nobody wants
you need a village. You need your village.
And so through that, I had to learn how to make it fun for my son. And he was my right off. He was like, what we eating today? Yeah. We would make pizzas, dough, gluten-free flour, and I would, incorporate it so he could have fun and eat it with me, just so I don't be by myself. And so half of the time, it was just me and him, and I was like, okay, we doing this, but you need the support. And I thank them, for not letting me go through it alone.
Yeah, you need that community.
Yes.
Yeah, you need that. I did this coaching program, and that's what they said in the coaching program, that you need good content.
Yeah.
And you got that from doing your research and learning about the syndrome and learning about the different options. The second thing, they call it the 3 C's. So you got the content, and then they said you need a coach. And you kept saying several times during this recording about your coach. And they talked about how powerful a coach is and how important coaching is, particularly in our transformation journey.
Yes.
And then they said the 3rd C is community. You need those 3 C's for transformation. And you had all 3 of them.
Unknowingly, just going through it, I didn't expect for me and my coach to develop the relationship that we did. I knew her for all of my life, basically, but we never really had a relationship. Like I say, God connects with the people for the right time, the right season. I did not know I would have needed to lean on her when I did. I don't know how I would have gotten through the transition to the healing without her guidance and letting me know, like, hey, when you take this is what you're going to experience. So I don't have to fail. Because once fear grip you, you stop. You don't want to do it. You don't know what's going on. This is your body. You don't want to play around with it. And understanding what the products are and breaking it down to me. And so I don't have that fear, and I continuously have that peace over me where it's like, okay, this is a process. I'm going to be okay. And that's what that's what she kept telling me, and that's what I had to keep telling myself. And that's what she would keep instilling in me, like, hey, we got this. You're going to okay. And that's what kept me going with my husband, with the community. Hey, this is what you say you're going to do. We got you. You're going to okay. And that's what kept me going because, boy, listen.
And then you had that spiritual covering. You had you talk a lot about your relationship with God, how important that was. And then you talk about your pastor several times. So you had all of the ingredients for transformation, all the ingredients for success.
In it, you don't always realize.
No, you don't see it.
Until you get to the end and you're like, I did that. We did that. Thanks.
We got over it. So what would you say to a young woman struggling with or struggling with PCOS and the infertility, all of the things that come with it, all of the physical, emotional things that come with it, and they're struggling with? What would you say to them?
I would definitely say if you're not ready to take control, don't rush into it because you need the patience. You need the understanding and you need the grace, not with just the products, but with yourself. And if you're not ready, if you're not at your wit's end, if you're not ready to change, it will not so much be a waste of time because the products are products, they will work. But mentally, at some point, you're going to give up if you're not ready. And not just give up on yourself, but you're going to give up on God. You're going to give up on the people around you because you're going to feel as if nobody's understanding. Wow. But you got to understand that it's you, it's your body, and nobody can fight for you if you're not fighting for yourself. And that was the biggest thing for me, was understanding that my husband is a man. He isn't going, and never is he going to go through any of the things that I'm going through. So yes, he could support me, but he can't do it for me. And yes, my daddy them, they're there. My pastor them, they're there, but they cannot do anything for me that I'm not willing to do for myself. And so the first part is you have to be ready. You have to be willing. You have to put everything on the line for healing. Second, you have to be open. You have to trust someone. You don't have to trust everyone, but you have to trust someone to be in the room with you. It isn't easy. And the first conversation is the hardest conversation. I remember just my coach just opening up and telling her everything what is going on with me. No one wants to utter those words. Nobody wants to be vulnerable, but you have to trust someone. It's going to be okay. You're not the only one. You're not alone. Someone out there is going through the exact same thing that you are going through. And it just takes one conversation to bring it all together. And that's what I had to realize I am for a lot of persons that think.
Yeah. And that voice.
For some, I say a lot what they are afraid to let out of their mouth. Yeah. And I'm like, why? I was in a $2 store, and I had a lady come up to me because before all of this, I decided before I have my son, I did a 3-part testimony on Facebook. And I put it out there. Like, I'm not afraid. I lived the life. I overcame it. This is it. And I had a lady go up to me and she whispered, she was like, I read your testimony on Facebook. So I look at her and I was like, why is this woman whispering? What? I was like, okay. I was like, okay. And she was like, what did you do? I said, you don't have to whisper, darling. And she was like, oh, okay, because I didn't know. I thought you was embarrassed. And I was like, let's backtrack. Yeah. You just told me you read my testimony on Facebook. You think I am embarrassed to talk about what I already put out there? I was like, and would you stop? And she was like, that's true now. Yeah. What do you use? And I was like, I was like, she's like, you know how long I was trying to conceive and I was like, but you can't suffer in silence. No. And that's what I did for a long. And so I realized somebody needs to speak it. Tell God, be the voice. Tell God, give big one for me, big one for you. You want me to talk? Come on, let's go. That's it. Yeah, someone has to be the voice. Someone has to be the champion for the cause. God uses our pain. Boy, you don't realize it at the time. It is true when they say joy does come in the morning, and at the end of the rainbow, there is a little pot of gold. Yeah. God uses our wounds and our pains to bring out our beauty and bring out testimonies and bring out stories that can help other people heal. Yeah. So there are many women in the Bahamas and around the world who are struggling with this, and they need. I'm coming to realize that so well, but I'm excited. I always pray before I speak. And I just ask God, if this is where I'm supposed to be, just give me the words, give me the understanding, and give me the heart for people, because what I always and never want to lose is persons feeling safe with me. Yeah. And I always try my best to be a friend. And so, like I say, I had no plans. I just was sharing what God did for me and what He's doing. I just thought that somebody should hear about it, because I'm excited, my family excited, my community excited. And so I'm like, somebody else need to hear that this is possible. And so, guys, I told God, if you do it for me, I'll do it for you. Come on, let's go. Yes. Yeah, you have a beautiful and powerful testimony and journey. And I understand you're working on a book. Or one day we'll be working on a book. No. We are working on a book. Okay. So I tell you gotta be like my husband. We're working on a book. Okay. And so I had a lot of persons like, Audie, how did you do it? What did you do? How did you make it that year? Like, how did you make vegetables fun? And so I think you have to realize that you've done, and this is what I learned too in coaching. You have value. Your journey, you have value. You know something about this syndrome and how you were able to overcome it that can help other women. You can add value to other women's life. And like I said, it was just me, just being me. I was like, I don't want to eat boiled food every day. I don't want that. I love fried chicken. I like pizza. I like movie night with my son. I like tacos. This is my daily life. And that's what I told my coach. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I have to make this for me. Yeah. She was like, finally, it's like, I was waiting for you to get to this point, because I never told you to eat boiled food. I never told you to do that. I told you what you have to cut out. Yeah. But I never told you you had to eat it like that. Yeah. I was like, why you didn't say that sooner? And she's like, no, I cannot do this for you. Yeah. You have to figure this out. And I was like, why would you do that to me? I suffered for the first 3 months. I cried and I was like, I cannot do this. I don't want to do this. This is boring. I cannot eat another salad. And I was like, miss, I'm catching gas. I don't want this salad no more. She's like, I never told you to do that. I was like, okay, bet. I got you right now. And that was the first time I remember I called my husband and I was like, I made buffalo mushrooms. I had buffalo mushrooms and fries and I went to bed content. Exactly. I was happy. And I didn't know that was not a thing. I was so happy that I was able to please the inner me. I was like, I have my life back. I can do this. And so, yes, we are working on a book where I am going to explain breakfast, lunch, dinner, how to get there, how to get here. And so even with your kids, because my son, you can make right on the way. Make a cookbook, a meal plan. So we're working on it. Yeah. I'm going to challenge you on that. I'm going to check up on you on that. Come on now. The coaching. The accountability. Yeah. Yeah, because we need more behavior writers. Help books like that for people. Yeah. So I'm going to challenge you. I like that. So thank you, Audenique, for your powerful story. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being on the podcast and sharing with us your journey with PCOS and how you heal
And today you are a living testimony of God's faithfulness and God's goodness and of getting unstuck. You've been unstuck. And now, like you said, you just enjoying God's favor even greater. So thank you so much.
Thank you
For being on the podcast. Thank you for being a guest. And this is the Pregnant with Destiny with Stuck podcast. Remember, we are on YouTube. You can subscribe to us. Please share the podcast, share it with your friends, like it. You can provide a comment below the description. We also, you can download the audios if you're driving. You're somewhere where you can't watch the video. You can download the audio. It's on Apple, Spotify, all of the major podcast stations that you can download and listen to. So once again, thank you so much, Mrs. Martin.
Thank you
For your story. And this is the Pregnant with Destiny but Stuck podcast. Thank you, everyone. Bye now.